Hey everyone, today we're going to be looking at how to change a string. This is something that may be helpful to you if you're like at home and you're in a bind and you need to change a string right away. Totally okay, it happens all the time. When I was in middle school, I had to change my first string in 8th grade. My violin's E string broke, snapped, hit me in the face. So I had to figure out how to change that string, and I did, and it was really helpful to me. It was really helpful to my teacher too. And it's also something that's cool to know, like you're learning how to fix your instrument. So the first thing you're going to need is your instrument with that broken string. We're going to call this string broken. It's fine, but we're going to call it broken. You're also going to need a pencil, something with like a little bit of pencil lead. You're going to need a new string. They usually come in packets that look like this. This is a violin E string. Brands that I recommend. The dominant strings for violins and violas are really good. For cellos, it's expensive to buy strings. Red labels are okay. These are red labels. They're cheap. They get the job done, especially if you're renting. Another good one that's good for cello, D'Addario. They make really good strings, and they can also be kind of cheap. So the first thing you're going to do, you've got tuning pegs. You're going to turn the broken strings tuning pegs towards your face because your goal is to get that string out of the tuning peg. So you're going to turn towards your face. Make sure you're turning the right tuning peg. You're going to feel it loosen up. When it's good and loose, you're going to take that string and pull it out. So I'm pulling from around the base of the string. I'm going to keep turning towards me to get that string out of the hole. And eventually it comes right out. Nope, almost there. Sometimes you have to turn it the other way to follow the winding and get it out. Just look at what the winding is doing and pull it out. It's a broken string, so don't stress too much about like getting it perfect because you're going to be throwing it away anyway. Once the string comes out of the tuning peg and is totally free, just like, oh, come on. Just like this, you should have a free string, totally off. At the bridge, it should be off too. You're going to use a pencil. The pencil is going to add a little bit of resistance to friction on the nut, the little pointy part of your scroll, right where it meets. See that little bit of lift there? So where the string is going to be meeting the fingerboard. You're also going to add a little bit of pencil lead right on the bridge where your string goes, in the nook. Now, typically your string has two ends. I'm going to put the broken string back on just because I don't need to fix this one. Your string has two ends. You should have a straight end with a little bit of like cloth winding and a ball end. See the little ball? The ball end is going to go in your tailpiece. It's going to hook into the little hole that's right here. You can look at your other strings for examples of how it should go, but your ball is going to hook in there, and it's going to have the cloth piece feed in through the top of the peg. So I'm going to put the ball in now. If it falls out, it's fine. It's not a big deal. So I'm putting the ball end in. Let me show you. I'm putting the string, feeding it in. Generally speaking, there's not really a top and a bottom for this. There's just kind of like an end. So don't worry about if you're putting it upside down. You're probably not. Once I've got that ball end in, I am working my string up. The ball end fell out. Oh well, not a big deal. I'll put that back in a minute. I've got the tip of my new string. I'm going to turn my tuning peg so that the hole in the tuning peg, you can kind of see it. It's right there, facing towards me. You want that hole like straight at you so you can get like a nice clean fit through. Sometimes you can pull a tuning peg out a little bit and put it back in, but have that tuning peg so you can go straight in to that hole. You can kind of see it. Make sure that hole is facing towards you. So do that right now. Feed it through. Sometimes they're a little finicky. No, I'm going to get a new string just for this. I am going to open up my G string. You may need scissors for this. I'm going to use a pencil. That's totally okay. Just be careful, you don't want to hurt that new string. Bam. Opened. Good. It's hard to put on an old string just because you are changing the curvature of the string when you are putting it on. So it's hard to feed it through the hole that you need to feed it through. But this string should do wonders. Here's a new G string. See the colored, see the end, that's the ball end. Here's the part that fits through the violin. I'm feeding that end straight through the hole in the peg. Come on. I'm having it just hit the edge of the peg box. So I'm having it feed all the way through. I'm not going like all the way through, but it's just barely going through. You want to have a little bit of give at the end. Not a lot. Because if you have a lot of it poking out at the other side, then it could poke onto your other strings. But if you have just a little bit, it gives it just enough wiggle room in case it gets pulled. All right, now that I have that in there, I'm going to feed and turn my tuning peg away from my face, trying to keep my string as straight as possible as I go up. Your goal is to have these strings go nice and straight. You don't want it to look like this red one up here. You want it to look nice and clean, like the green one right above. So I'm feeding that string through right now. Trying to keep my hand straight. I'm keeping my right hand holding the string. I'm turning with my peg to keep that string straight. And I'm pushing in towards the scroll. That's going to keep the string from moving and falling on you. It's also going to keep your string from being at the edge of the peg. Initially, I'm not plucking because I can't really pluck yet. There's not going to be any sound. I'm making sure my ball end is in because my ball end fell out, and that's okay. Now I'm at this point. My string is just a little bit loose. I'm going to be mindful of where it's falling on the fingerboard. I want that falling right in the nut. I'm going to keep turning away from me until it gets just enough tightness that I can start plucking it. It did fall out of the ball end again. If that happens, you can loosen it a little bit and put it back on. Make sure it really catches down there. See, my ball end's not quite in. I'm going to reposition so it's right. No, come on. Sometimes a little wrestling game happens. I'm going to loosen the string a little bit so I got a little bit of give. Pull towards my face. And I hook that ball end back in. Now I'm going to tighten again. Turning away from my face until it gets nice and just kind of secured. It's still loose. It's not making any sound when I pluck it. But now I'm going to start plucking. Now that it's got enough give that I can start plucking. You want to pluck as you go so you don't go too tight and then break your new string because you don't want to break that new string. You can use your other strings as a reference to see how high you are, but have a tuner on you. That's my A. My D should be here. This violin's seen better days. It's falling apart already. Da, da, D. So I'm not quite at a G yet. I'm gonna keep going up. That's right around my G. I got tuned up. I turned my peg away from my face just like I'm tuning my violin usually. That's my string. It's on. When you put a new string on, it's getting used to being pulled really tight, so it's going to fall loose a good amount. When that happens, you're going to have a flat string for the most part. So right now it's like a G. It's already starting to go a little bit flatter. So you're going to have to tune this up a good amount. You have to tune like crazy for like a day or two until that string gets used to being tight. And then at that point, you've got a very new string. When you first get a new string, it's going to sound a little bit metal. It's got like a very compared to the rich and full sound I have in this D string. It's going to take like a day or two to warm up, but eventually you're going to have that same sound. Whenever you're changing strings, do like at most 2 strings at a time. Don't do all 4 at once. If you do all 4 at once, you can impact the. Where is it? Can you see it? You can't see it. Oh no! It could hurt. You can kind of see the sound post, that little wood you have in your instrument that holds up right underneath the bridge. It could make that fall. So you want to be really careful with only doing like 2 strings at a time. So if I'm going to change all my strings, I'd probably go for like G and D one day, then like 3 days later do the A and E. And that's how you change your strings. So make sure you have your pencil ready for you whenever you tune a string or change a string. Make sure your yeah, new string come or old string come off, new string go on, turn away from you, pluck as you go so you don't break it, and you probably have to retune a couple times to get it like perfect. If you have any questions, message me. I'll answer at some point. Good luck tuning. Good luck. It's me, okay.